Oh, recently. Was
Yeah.
that a solo? Let's see.
No, that house was the charity built glass and Heidi's knife and it was really cool. Yeah, she rocked the house down.
She and Lou came to my big performance at the kitchen in 1995.
Nope.
This then, when that's plugged in. But of course, piano, of course, that's an octave. Right, that's an octave. But because of the keys each being equidistant, so an octave ends up being like about that. So it's microtonal. So there's one, whatever, 25 pitches between whatever I tune that to. So that's what, because of course up here an octave is like every 3 to 4 keys. So it's kind of a big, and of course the only notes that are properly tempered would be the ones I have marked with keys, and that's glow tape. Glow in the dark tape, because of course I would do it in pitch dark. It has one of those, things that you put in your chin with the weights. So just because I used to have a problem with my neck.
What a great idea.
But when the chin up and chin looks really good. And so by then plugging different things in this case there are live radios and mechanical devices, so here's how this works. So it's kind of
like
a mess.
Little Drake meets Frank Sinatra.
yeah. So it's the ultimate mash. It's kind of like people
PR
said,
guy.
They said that reminds me of a Basquiat painting, and I went, yeah, because it is that kind of. It actually goes back to the surrealist parlor game, where you're randomly finding things. And first instruments were rocks and sticks and crap on the ground, and then it's so like the sound of the violin doesn't come from the strings. The strings vibrate the bridge. Well, actually, the strings transfer the vibration, the frequency, wherever the length of the string is, to the top of the violin. It's all about the top of the violin. And so the strings themselves are just making the top vibrate and producing that frequency. So a violin, anyway. So it's the strings vibrating that make the top vibrate. So it's the top of the violin that makes it. So an electric violin, like 90% of mine, have a contact microphone in the place of the top. They still have a bridge, but they have a contact. And so in this case, I learned from probably if you went to my website, which is the Squarespace website, and you go to About, and you scroll down, there's a list of other links. Probably the most important person in the world maybe is Bart Hopkin, who used to have an experimental musical instruments newsletter. And he is the one who I first learned that styrofoam is an amazing resonator. Who knew? If you think about it, it's very light, it's mostly air. And so what I've done here is I've attached it by putting, the bridge is right on the handle of the crutch, and the styrofoam is, for one thing, have you ever seen a cooler piece of styrofoam? Which again, I found, it's totally by accident.
Styrofoam?
But so if I just pluck it, and now again, these are guitar strings, they're not up to the proper pitch, so if I spent about 5 or 6 hours with this and put cello strings and really tweaked it, it could probably be another 20% louder or better. But just these guitar strings, so that's plucking it. But when you bow it, it's surprisingly cello-like considering the styrofoam. You know, it weighs, actually weighs less than a real cello. But so styrofoam, and then here's a golf club. But I thought it was funny. And it turns out Pat Metheny was a judge, which was interesting because he's not a fan of synthesis particularly. He's a guitarist, of course, and he, you know, coordinated a mechanical orchestra, or you know, mechanical motorized things, or playing actual acoustic instruments, which to me is much more interesting personally. And of course, there's good examples of everything. You know, nothing's inherently evil. You know, somebody playing a laptop is not inherently evil, although I'm still waiting to cry my first high-tech tear, I sometimes say. You know, that look of like... This is not my thing, you know. But I've seen good examples. But a singer, which is, sorry, I'm rambling now, but I've given this so much thought my whole life. The best musical instrument in the world by far is the human voice. Nothing even comes close to that. It's just so much better than anything. And the second best instrument is percussion of some kind. I mean, I think a brilliant drummer may be, if somebody from another planet comes down, you know, it's like, oh, tell me about human life. I'd show them, like, a jazz drummer. It's just like, that is unfucking believable. Because the rest of it, like a painting, oh, what? Or maybe a dance is so specifically human. But somebody who can obviously individually control both arms and both legs in that manner and play with rhythm like that, so, and interestingly enough, those are the first two instruments ever invented. So, in a way, all of this modern, you know, and then the other thing, sorry, this is just me. If they think instruments, musical instruments are between, they're like, you know, 7,000 and 10,000 years old. 10,000 years. 10,000 years. Recording is just over 100 years old. So that's me just bending the string like a whammy bar. Little harmonic. And then here comes the little tabla, which I would then loop, you know. Here's your second loop. Open it up again. So both of those things are going. I drop my pick, and of course, well, there it is. So those things are going. onto your belt. And that's super, super, I mean, that's the kind of thing. You know, so. And then things more complicated. 2 hockey sticks. So one of the things they have in common is they're all very physically thin and light, because then you can carry 6 or 7 of them in one gig bag over your shoulder. So I saw Harry Parch's instruments, and it's like there were 3 semi-trucks outside, and there were, in the audience there were these 2 guys who were like 6'8". What are those guys? And there's the guys that help carry and pack the fucking instruments in. So again, acoustically, virtually nothing. And this is cool because none of them have straps, so like that's, I can't gig unless I'm wearing a pair of jeans, this is a cello, basically. So these are cello strings, so it's a flat fingerboard cello. I mean, I guess, although you can't bow anything but the top string. So with a looper, you can create these little soundscapes, and then you can bow the top string only. This is actually a vintage Swizzler. It's a cocktail mixer that had a little shaft and you mix a drink. So I put a guitar pick on it so
Wow.
So again, when I'm in the middle of figuring all that out and playing, and then this, of course, is also, that's what the tail light reflector is, the chin rest. So then you can. So. Yeah. So then there's the sword. There's a knife, violin. So it's kind of the Ramble performance art. Here are some of the ones that are the most talked about sometimes, depending on So there's a little paintbrush guitar. And see, so then right. So here's actually one of the contact mics. Of course, they don't make this anymore, but the contact mic itself is the real trick. So that's whatever you put that on. You put that on the. So that's the magic. Is that? There's a hair clip. Don't touch that because it's just in the perfect. So again, I would loop. glass model.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
just glass against
Save
glass.
that little bit of room.
That was.
And so if you put
That
the
was-
contact
I didn't know that.
under the glass, it
That
still
was
doesn't break.
Like, you
This
got
is so direct. This is just so direct.
professionally trained in that.
How are you? Good, how are you?
Anyway. Well, probably a knife
Yeah.
or a sword.
Yeah, the swords, probably. I mean, like,
Yeah, no, we talked about like start with these.
I'm actually on the
You know, mostly be an existing object that's not parts of
Actually,
something.
that might come true.
You know,
Yeah.
everything's here except for the ones that are stored, you know. So I can't, I
That
don't
gives
know
you
what
a
that.
book
You play the set?
The idea is like every once a month.
Yeah,
issue
that's just a color.
review
You
editions of Disney.
could, you know, you could put a contract
So
on
you
it.
don't have one film.
You could play things
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
Okay, yeah, well,
So
you see that kind of stuff.
So that's kind of a.
All right, thanks for coming.